Okay, so get this. Some pretty big changes happening over at MSNBC.
Yeah.
And we're gonna dive into that today.
Big changes.
Looks like a total revamp of their evening lineup.
Wow.
A brand new Washington bureau. And are you ready for this? The departure of Joy Reid.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's big.
I know, right? It's all right here in this proposed podcast script that we've got. And
Interesting.
yeah.
So what I'm seeing here, it looks like a pretty aggressive move by MSNBC, especially with 2024 right around the corner.
Yeah, it really makes you wonder what they're thinking, right?
Right.
Like, are they going all in on politics?
Well, it certainly seems that way. I mean, MSNBC has always leaned progressive, but building this Washington bureau, I think that really signals like a laser focus on national politics.
Yeah.
Maybe even at the expense of other news.
You think so?
It's possible.
I mean, it makes sense to be right there in D.C., though, right?
Oh, yeah.
For instant access to lawmakers.
Yeah.
They're right there on the ground for those live press briefings. All the behind-the-scenes drama, it's like their own little house of cards.
Right.
Minus the underhanded scheming, hopefully.
Hopefully. And don't forget, they are facing some really stiff competition from CNN and Fox News.
Oh, for sure.
Especially when it comes to covering the election.
Yeah.
So this DC move could be their way of trying to steal the spotlight.
Steal the spotlight. Okay, well, speaking of competition,
Yeah.
let's talk about Joy Reid's exit.
Okay. Oh.
I have to say, I was a little surprised by this one.
Yeah.
I mean, she was a big name for them.
She was a trailblazer, that's for sure.
Yeah.
First Black woman to anchor a primetime cable news show, The Readout.
Right.
It's a huge loss for MSNBC.
Yeah.
Especially in terms of representation.
Huge loss. And then you have this massive question mark over her time slot.
Right.
What happens to the readout?
Exactly.
Do they bring in someone new?
Yeah.
Maybe give more airtime to shows like Deadline, White House, with Nicole Wallace? I don't know.
All the speculation is running wild on social media. All kinds of names being thrown around.
Oh, I bet.
But for now, the specifics are still under wraps.
Okay, so we've got all these changes happening, but the big question is why?
Yeah. Why?
Why is MSNBC making such drastic moves right now?
Well, let's be honest, ratings are a major factor.
Yeah.
MSNBC has been trailing behind its competitors, particularly among younger viewers,
Okay.
and in certain key demographics, crucial to advertisers.
Makes sense.
It's like a wake-up call.
Yeah, it's that age-old story in media, right?
Totally.
You snooze, you lose viewers, and ultimately you lose revenue.
Exactly. And while the readout was groundbreaking, it's no secret that viewership had been declining.
Yeah.
So this presents a chance for MSNBC to kind of rethink its programming, try to attract a new audience.
Okay, and of course, we can't forget about the 2024 election looming on the horizon.
Oh, right.
Every network is vying for those eyeballs.
Absolutely.
Trying to be the go-to source for election coverage.
It's high stakes.
High stakes.
And MSNBC is making some bold moves to position itself as a frontrunner.
Oh.
This new lineup, the DC focus, it's all a strategy.
So it sounds like they're betting big on politics.
Yeah.
But what about Joy Reid? What's next for her?
Well, she's been pretty tight-lipped so far.
Okay.
But there are some rumors swirling about some pretty exciting possibilities.
Do tell. What have you heard?
Well, sources suggest she might be exploring opportunities in digital media.
Okay.
Maybe even launching her own podcast.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Now that would be something. She's got a powerful voice.
Oh, yeah.
I bet she would have some amazing guests.
For sure.
And don't forget about her writing. I mean, there's talk of another book in the works.
Yeah.
And knowing Joy, she's going to continue to be a vocal advocate for social justice.
Absolutely.
It's really inspiring to see her using her platform like that to make a difference.
Yeah.
You know, it feels like this isn't an ending for Joy Reid,
Right.
but the start of a whole new chapter.
A new chapter, exactly.
Yeah.
And she's built a really dedicated following who are eager to see where she goes next.
Definitely.
It speaks volumes about her influence and the impact she's had on the media landscape.
So we've covered a lot of ground here.
We have.
We've got MSNBC going through a major transformation.
Big time.
Joy Reid moving on to new ventures.
Yep.
And the whole media world gearing up for the 2024 election.
It's going to be a wild ride.
Yeah, but before we jump ahead, I think it's important to kind of stop and think for a second.
Okay.
What does all of this mean?
Right.
What are the potential consequences of these changes for MSNBC and for the media landscape as a whole?
That's a great question.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like a risky move, but it could also be brilliant.
It could.
Like, on the one hand, MSNBC is doubling down on its political coverage just as the election heats up and investing in this Washington bureau.
Right.
You know, it shows that they are serious about on-the-ground reporting.
Yeah, they're serious.
But on the other hand, it does make you wonder, is it too late? I mean, the media landscape is constantly evolving.
Always changing.
Viewers have so many options these days.
So many.
So can MSNBC really catch up and reclaim a top spot in political news?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is. And then there's Joy Reid's departure.
Right.
Will they be able to fill that void? Left by such a prominent figure, and will her new ventures be as successful as her time on cable news?
I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, it really highlights how dynamic the media landscape is.
It really does.
You know, we really need to pay attention to how these changes are affecting not just the networks, but the audiences they serve.
The audiences.
And that's where you, our listeners, come in.
Yes.
We've shared our perspective, but ultimately it's up to you to form your own opinions.
Your own opinions.
So what do you think about all of this?
Yeah, what do you think?
Do you think MSNBC is making the right moves? Will these changes lead to success?
Well, yeah.
Or is it a little too late?
Too little, too late.
We encourage you to dig deeper into this topic.
Yes.
Explore different viewpoints. And engaging conversations about the future of media.
Absolutely.
Because an informed public is crucial for a healthy democracy.
Couldn't agree more.
You know, we need to be critical thinkers.
Yeah.
Question everything we see and hear, especially with the 2024 election right around the corner.
Right around the corner.
Exactly.
It's not just about what we know, but what we do with that knowledge that matters.
Okay, so buckle up, because in part 2, we're going to go even deeper into the implications of MSNBC's shakeup.
Ooh, exciting.
And explore some of the broader trends that are shaping the future of media. It's going to be a wild ride.
Wild ride.
You know, it's crazy to think this whole MSNBC thing, it's like a little mini version of what's happening to media overall.
Oh, absolutely. It's like a microcosm of how much things are changing. I mean, you can't deny the massive shift toward digital platforms like streaming services, podcasts, online news outlets. I mean, they're all fighting for our attention these days.
They are.
Big time.
And it's like MSNBC is trying to get ahead of the curve with this whole Washington bureau thing.
Yeah.
Like sending a message. We're not just your grandma's cable news anymore.
Right.
We're a multi-platform news organization.
Exactly. They're adapting to the fact that people are getting their news from all sorts of places now.
Oh, sure.
And they have to keep up if they want to stay relevant.
Well, it is interesting that Joy Reid seems to be like embracing this digital shift too.
Oh, yeah.
With the rumors of a podcast and all.
I mean, that's a very savvy move on her part.
Yeah.
Think about it. Less format restrictions, a direct connection with her fans.
Right.
Almost like, you know, going indie after years with a big record label.
Oh, I like that analogy.
Yeah. And plus, Reid is known for, you know, her deep dives on social issues.
Yeah.
And podcasts, I mean, they let you explore those nuances in ways that cable news just can't.
Yeah, you've got a point.
Yeah.
And she'd have way more control over her content.
Totally.
Which has got to be appealing.
Oh, yeah.
After years of working within the constraints of a traditional news network.
For sure. And, you know, she's not alone in this.
Really?
We're seeing more and more journalists and media personalities breaking free from these big institutions and building their own independent platforms.
It's kind of empowering.
It is.
Isn't it? Like the power is shifting from these big media giants to individual creators.
It is, but there's a flip side too.
What's that?
While it allows for more diverse voices and perspectives, it also raises some concerns.
Oh, like what?
About misinformation.
Oh, yeah.
And the fragmentation of the media landscape.
Does it point?
It's like the Wild West out there.
The Wild West. Yeah, because anybody can start a podcast.
Exactly.
Or a YouTube channel these days.
Right.
But it doesn't mean they're qualified.
Right.
Or even care about journalistic ethics.
Totally. And so it's a real challenge for viewers to navigate this new media landscape.
Yeah.
And figure out, like, what sources can I really trust?
Yeah, you almost need a whole new set of media literacy skills just to survive.
I know.
In this age of information overload.
More important than ever to be a critical thinker.
For sure.
Question everything you read. everything you hear.
Yeah.
Actively seek out multiple viewpoints.
Right, because it's so easy to fall into these echo chambers.
It is.
Where you're only encountering opinions that agree with you.
Exactly. And, those echo chambers can be really dangerous.
Yeah.
Because they prevent us from getting the full picture.
You're right. You know what they say? The truth is somewhere in the middle.
Totally. And it's through dialogue and exposure to different perspectives.
Right. We can actually form really informed opinions and make good judgments.
It can be uncomfortable to listen to people who disagree with you.
It can.
But that's how we grow, right?
That's how we grow.
It's crucial for a healthy democracy.
It is. And in a way, MSNBC's changes and Joy Reid's decision to branch out.
Yeah.
I think they're all part of this larger conversation about the evolution of media and how we consume information.
They're definitely making us think about how we stay informed, how we evaluate information, and how we engage in these complex discussions.
It's a challenging but exciting time.
It is.
I mean, we have more access to information than ever before.
Right.
And it's really up to us to use it wisely.
To be curious, skeptical, and engaged. We can't just passively consume information.
Right.
We have to actively seek out knowledge and understanding.
Because, what matters most is what we do with the information we have. Okay, so we talked about MSNBC's makeover, Joy Reid's departure, the changing media landscape.
A whole thing.
But there's one more piece of this puzzle that we need to explore.
Yes, the impact of all of this.
Yeah.
On the upcoming 2024 election.
Oh, boy.
Get ready. This is where it gets really interesting.
So we've got this big shakeup over at MSNBC.
Right.
A super important election on the horizon.
Absolutely.
And everyone's trying to figure out, how it's all going to play out.
For sure.
Do you think these changes at MSNBC will actually impact how the 2024 election is covered?
That's the big question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I think it comes down to a few things.
Okay.
First, you got to consider MSNBC's focus on Washington, D.C.
Right.
With that new bureau, they're really in a prime position to deliver, real-time updates, the in-depth analysis, exclusive interviews, straight from the political battlefield.
Yeah, it's like they're setting up their headquarters
I know.
right in the middle of the campaign war room.
Right in the thick of it.
Do you think this, boots on the ground approach will give them an advantage?
It could, especially when it comes to breaking news and attracting those viewers who are really plugged into politics. But being there is only half the battle, right?
Right.
It's also about how they frame the story. What angle will MSNBC take with their election coverage?
Yeah, will they just lean into their reputation?
Exactly.
For, progressive viewpoints?
Will they lean in?
I feel like that's what they're known for, right?
Yeah.
But I also get the sense they're trying to, broaden their appeal. Win over some viewers who wouldn't normally tune into MSNBC.
Exactly. So will they stick with that progressive slant?
Right.
Or try to go more middle of the road?
Ooh, trying to please everybody. That's tricky.
It is.
They don't want to alienate their loyal viewers.
Right.
But they want to grow their audience.
Right.
I wonder if Joy Reid leaving opens up some possibilities.
It does. Her departure gives them a chance to really reshape that primetime lineup and maybe bring in some fresh voices who might attract some new viewers.
So it's not just about who replaces her in that time slot. It's the overall direction they take with their political coverage.
Exactly.
And then we've got, the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Social media.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, how will MSNBC use that to engage viewers? Shape the conversation during the election?
Social media is a total game changer in politics these days.
Oh, for sure.
It's how people get their news, share opinions, connect with others.
Yeah.
And MSNBC knows this.
Right.
And they're going to be using every tool they've got to make sure that they're part of that conversation online.
It's like a whole new campaign strategy.
I know.
Not just for the candidates, but for the networks covering them.
The stakes are high.
They are, yeah. The 2024 election is going to be, I think
so too.
One of the most closely watched, most debated elections in recent history.
Sure.
And MSNBC's coverage is definitely going to play a role.
Oh, yeah.
And how the public perceives it, maybe even influence how some people vote.
It could.
Wow, that's a lot of responsibility.
It is.
Do you think they'll stay focused on being accurate and objective? Or will they get, caught up in all the hype and drama?
That's a question we should all be asking. Right. Not just about MSNBC, but about all media outlets covering the election.
Yeah.
As viewers, we have a responsibility too.
Okay.
We got to be critical thinkers, question everything we see and hear, look for different points of view.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, it's not about which network wins the election coverage.
It's about making sure that voters have access to accurate, unbiased information.
So they can make informed decisions.
Exactly.
The best choices for the country.
That's what it's all about.
Well said. Well said. So as we head into this, super important election year, let's all make a commitment.
Yes.
To be informed citizens. Think critically.
Absolutely.
And be responsible with how we consume information.
We need to demand better from our media and hold them accountable for the influence they have.
Absolutely. So keep those brains buzzing, folks. This is just the beginning of the conversation.
It is.
The media landscape's always changing.
Always.
And the 2024 election is going to be a wild ride.
Wild.
But we'll be here to guide you through it all with insights, analysis.
Absolutely.
And hopefully a little humor along the way.
A little humor never hurts.
So until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and stay engaged.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Our democracy depends on it.
It really does.